Assalamu alaikum. What's happening, man? Shalom. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. You know who this is. Signing Black in again, asking you to hit that share button first. As soon as you finish hearing this, decide the like or subscribe button for yourself later on, because the message is more important than the messenger, and this message is about the real reason that that gas station in Pittsburgh should be shut down. It's not for the reason we think. We don't know these women. We have no clue. Somebody did post a video showing a picture of the pump and saying that the pump had some evidence that the girls were trying to get some free gas. I don't know how true that is. What I do know is that at the end of the day, whether they were trying to get free gas or not, I know that that the real reason that the station should be shut down has nothing to do even with these ladies. See, the real reason it should be shut down is that, simply put, most people don't react the same way to everybody. If these women had been from their own community and they had done this, they would have been met with a different reaction. See, there is a type there's a type of effery that goes on. And it goes on everywhere, to be honest. Now, in the United States, the Indians and the Arabs are the ones who didn't engage in this back in their own countries because they didn't have to. That's really what goes on. I'm living in an Arab country right now, and I'm living in one of the Gulf nations, and I can tell you that the effery goes on, period. In the nation in which I live, it's conservative. Men and women don't approach each other like that. You don't do that. Now, you're allowed to discuss marriage, but you ask, can I get your dad's number? And that's not illegal. Culturally, it depends on where you are and who y'all are, but legally speaking, that's okay. That's accepted. However, what I'm getting at here is that they don't approach each other like that. Unless they're already married or related, they don't need, I mean closely related. A man ain't going to approach his female fourth cousin like that. Now, if she knows it's him, they see each other out in public by chance, she may know that it's him before he knows it's her. And she may nod her head or something, say something like, I'll tell Auntie that I saw you, hope you're doing okay. But that'd be about it. So no, they don't do that. You know, a lot of men and women out here who are fourth, even first cousins actually, a lot of them out here who are cousins see each other, and the man doesn't even know he just walked by one of his lady relatives. She knows, but he don't. And so this is one of the ways that the things that men do are circulated. But the things that women do are not really circulated because people don't really know who the woman is a lot of times. So also, this being said, I want this to be known too. When there's this type of effery, the men are not really that militant. There's a level past which they won't tolerate this stuff, but they're not that militant. So what this means is that when you have, in this conservative country, these women will never walk up to a man. And even though Islamically it is their right, and say, look, can I get you in touch with my dad? You might be interesting. Even though Islamically it is okay for them to do it, and therefore it is legal in this country, they're not going to. If she sees a man and she wants to marry him, she don't want to do nothing wrong. She wants to be with somebody. She gets her instincts tell her that this dude is at least worth looking into. She ain't going to exercise that option to make the approach. Simply because sex is not a bad deal for men. Simply because usually sex is not unpleasant for men. At least that's the idea. Just because of that alone, she is not going to do this, even though she has that right. I cannot stress this enough. Do you know what these women walk up to men to ask about? All the time. They walk up to men and they ask these men for money. You could be a man in this country and you can go your whole life and never have a woman approach you for anything to do with romance, whether it's the legal type within the marriage or the illegal type outside the marriage. But you could go your whole life, no matter what you look like, you will not get these approaches. But you can barely go a month without being approached by someone you don't know, talking about some sob story and I need some money. That's real in this case. I don't go out by myself, not because I'm afraid of being approached by strange women. I don't go out by myself because I don't want them coming to me asking me for money. And plus, I don't want to deal with the foolishness as soon as you don't speak their slang fluently, not the language, but as soon as you don't speak fluently their specific slang. They just don't. All of a sudden, they start thinking you dumb, start talking broken caveman Arabic to you, and that's insulting too. They do that to the Indians and Pakistanis and Bengalis, where they're used to that. And they start doing this to people from other places. And if the person knows that this is broken Arabic they're hearing, they get insulted. It'd be like me walking up to you, and because English isn't your first language, I start saying, you know, buy a ticket. Man, you knock my block off. Like, how the hell am I gonna talk to you like that just because you need me to slow down a little bit? So, you gotta avoid stuff like this. You gotta really think in order to be able to avoid it. But on top of that foolishness and stupidity, you got to deal with the fact that women who would never approach you for anything else are going to come to you for money. And I straight started to try to tell one lady, I don't have any interest in taking money from you or in giving you money. Got no interest in it. Started to try to tell some, I'm done with this. I'm through with that. And then after I got married, a lady started to do it, and before she started, I opened my mouth to say, I only give my wife and my daughters money. My mother don't need it. Started to say that, but before I finished the sentence, she turned direction and went elsewhere. So I didn't even have to finish the sentence. The point is that you're going to deal with this type of effort. But these men here, when these women get out of pocket, these men don't even want to touch them. They don't want to put hands on them. So I would think that when it comes to a physical altercation, I don't think those men started the physical altercation. Now, the fact that they're willing to sit up there and throw some actual blows instead of restraining the women's arms and calling the cops, that's why I think they should be shut down. Plus, the other reason is because I just don't think people that are not us should be allowed to have thriving businesses in our communities, which is our fault again. We should be the ones who walk in and do the reverse paper bag test, just like what used to happen in a few nightclubs, and it really wasn't that many back in the day, believe it or not. That brown paper bag test was more of a joke than it was a reality in the old days. It existed, but it was talked about more than it was applied. However, we need to apply the reverse of that to these businesses. Before I sit up here and make any big purchase from you, are you black? And a lot of them do have black ancestry, but the question is going to be, would they admit it? Because what we really want to know is, do you see us as equal? Are we just as valuable to you as in white boys are? And for the most part, no. Even when they don't hate us, they still think that white is right and the white man's ice is colder. They still think that the white man's money is more green. They still have that mindset. They even feel this way with regards to themselves. They believe the white folks are even better than they themselves are. They still believe that. So, with no hatred towards you, they can have these brainwashed ideas, and that is enough for us to look and say, no, we're not going to tolerate this from you. So we need to apply that, and really, they should have been shut down before they got to this argument. Not because of the women or because of anything special about these broads. They should have been shut down because of who they are not. With no hatred. It's just simply about business. We're going to prioritize ourselves. And really, in all honesty, I don't know how to code this. I'm not a coding person. I can't design an app. But what I would say is that what we do need is, one, we need a boycott on non-black owned gas stations anyway. If you got a gas station that's black owned, but he Muslim and he don't sell, and I'm not saying this just because I'm Muslim because I feel comfortable saying this. If you got a black owned gas station, he don't sell no liquor, no pork, no porn, and no cigarettes, you should be willing to go to him before you would go to any non-black owned gas station that does sell these things. We're not there yet. Until we are there, this is going to continue. But other thing, too, that needs to be done is that we need to make it easier for black folk to shop with black folk. And this is where certain apps come in. Social media and those of us who know how to code can write apps that I can't write. You can write an app wherein a business, black business owners can supply some information to you and be listed on your site for a small fee. And then that way, when people are traveling from place to place, to be listed when they're traveling. Let's say a black motorist is traveling from Atlanta to Philadelphia. He's going to have to stop twice for gas on the road and the third time to put gas in the car when he's in Philly, or vice versa. So when that happens, How about an app that shows you on the route they're going where the black-owned gas stations are? How about that? So that black motorists can segregate and discriminate in their spending practices. See, it doesn't matter. Like I said, those gas station owners, I want you to realize that I don't even know if they're Indian, Pakistani, or Arab, and those are not the same. Each one is not the same as the other. It doesn't matter. They're not us. And they're not trained to view us as equals. They are never, ever, in any case, trained to look at massa as the oppressor and as the bad guy in a relationship with us or them. Never. So they are trained subconsciously or consciously to look at massa like he's right and we're wrong. And so the real truth is that even if these sisters went in there and they showed out, the reason these men were willing to do what they did, even if the sisters started the fight, is because these sisters got nappy hair and maybe they act, and plus looking a little bit mannish. But the skin color and head texture, plus the reputation that black neighborhoods have, not just in the United States, but throughout the world, would have contributed to a subconscious willingness to go as far as they did and beat the hell out these ladies. Now, if these ladies swung first, I would say that, Assalamu alaikum, Quwwata Sood, Shlonak, Alhamdulillah. I would say that even if they had swung first, even though I would probably snap the neck of a lady that swung at me, especially because I know most women don't fight other women, but they'll haul off and hit a man for anything. I know that. I've seen it myself, black or white, they'll do it. Western women will hit men for fun. Even though I would have snapped the neck of a woman that did this to me, instead of hitting her, I'd snap her neck, paralyze you, be in a wheelchair the rest of her life. Stop hitting people just because they can't hit you back. The fact is, these men would not have done this to anyone. They probably wouldn't have done it to one of their own. I don't think they would have. So if they wouldn't have done it to one of their own, then why should we let that slide? Even if they were retaliating, the retaliations aren't always equal. The worst they would have done to one of their own probably would have been to restrain her arms. Maybe one hit, maybe the fight could not have been avoided by the gas station owners. I really don't care. They shouldn't have been able to succeed in our neighborhoods in the first place unless and until we can go into their areas and do the exact same thing, which sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. That's it. And we already know that we can't. Now, one thing I want to remind you of, black folks, all other minority communities are not the same. That is not true. And I want y'all to get rid of that idea. Everybody else is not more together than we are. You got people that are as dysfunctional as we are, but most of these other ethnicities are about as diverse in their level of functionality or dysfunction actually, as we are. You can go into Chinatowns and there are gonna be some people there, U.S. citizens, and they're broke as a joke. They ain't got nothing. And they act like it. And they ain't got no ambition either. And then you got other people that you go in there and they got the businesses. Now you and I, we may go into a Chinatown, go to a restaurant where that's on a main road. We don't go down them alleyways that only the locals know about and see them people. They ain't allowed to just walk around throughout these areas. They run a tourist off. You understand what's happening? They're bad for business. You see where I'm going with this? So we think that they're all just together and they've all got their culture intact and it grounds them in certain things they won't tolerate and other things they'll insist upon, when in reality, when they are dysfunctional, they're just as dysfunctional as we are, and in many cases even worse. So don't make the mistake of thinking that they come from better communities than you do. They're a bit more organized, but they do not come from better communities than you do. They just come from communities that were allowed to make more money than we were, that's all. Keep that in mind first. Secondly, start running these people out, not because, before it gets to this point, run them out because they ain't us. And they wouldn't tolerate it if they had a neighborhood and we went in and we were to open up shop. Think about it. You can't go into an Arab neighborhood. Why? Because they don't have an Arab neighborhood. They don't live together. You can't go into an Indian neighborhood because there's no Indian neighborhood. They don't live together. You can't go into a Chinese neighborhood because all they got is Chinatown. Other than that, they don't live in a particular area. They're scattered throughout amongst the dominant society. With us, some of us live among the dominant society and some of us don't. We live with each other. So one thing you got to understand is that they don't really have a community into which you can go in to test this theory. However, you can test their attitudes and see if they had a community, what they would let you do. That's what you must understand. And the fact is that if they will not support your business, then just don't support theirs. If they will not respect you the same way they would respect a different clientele in a different part of the city, do not respect their business and don't go to it. This business shouldn't be shut down because of this. It shouldn't have even been picketed. From the time that you walk in there and you see that they are not us, and you hear that they're not us, just to be on the safe side because we have many phenotypes, that should have been enough right there. That should have been it. I hope this has been a benefit. Black Horse Sign of Blackout. Assalamu alaikum.